Hi, my name is Adnan Hasbi, and I'd like to welcome you guys to another episode of the Funny Finance Guy. In today's episode, I'm shooting this episode in the evening while reading a lot of news which came out. And I just wanted to share some of the news which I read and how it will impact the stock market and eventually impact your investment should you be invested in the stocks. So there was a couple of news which came out this week. The first news which came out is that it came out in a Twitter space whereby very popular malls within Kuala Lumpur has had a couple of cases of COVID cases. Amongst these popular malls is, I think, KLCC and also New Central. I think why this is important for me to highlight is that with some of the cases happening in New Central, to put things into perspective, New Central is like the beating hub of all the transports over in Kuala Lumpur. And when there's a lot of people moving in and out New Central, what will happen is the probability for that virus to spread is actually relatively on a higher side. Second place where the virus also was reported was KLCC. KLCC, as we know, is also a very popular mall within Kuala Lumpur. So what I want to say over here is that in the short term, we will not see that much of impact. I think the KLCI was relatively, it didn't move too high up or it didn't move too high down today, or it didn't go down too much today. But what I want to say over here is that remember what I said a couple of weeks back about the REITs, especially the REITs which have malls in their portfolio. If you are any of these REIT holders, just be a bit careful. I think if cases are starting to be recorded at this place, I don't know whether it's going to be a huge spread or it's going to be isolated. But the malls have really taken action, and we can see that they have disinfected many of the places. So for that, we can see that the authorities have been they have their SOP and they have been taking action plan, which is great. That's the first news. The second news which came out was last week. I remember talking about how Sabah had its by-election. And today, when I went through the news, I think one of the relatively senior political members said that people which went for the by-election over in Sabah, they have changed the SOP, whereby there's no 14-day quarantine. Instead, there's going to be a swab test. So I'm not much of a medical expert, but if you were to change the SOP, I'm not sure what may happen. But let's look at the points in isolation and let's look at it on a factual basis. Number one, Sabah had a big attack, many cases of COVID. Number two, there was many people with the government machineries and also the opposition machineries over in this state. So the probability for the spread is relatively high. Okay. The third news which came out, it's getting a bit more scarier right now, is that Europe is looking into locking down already. Remember where the lockdowns happened before? I think it was China, and then eventually it went to Europe. So if one particular place is having their lockdowns, I'm not sure whether other parts of the world may be having lockdowns. But we can see that right now with cases sprouting in malls and also with a lot of movements in Sabah coming back to Semenanjung, I hope in my heart of hearts that this virus can be, isolated and also not spread. But should the otherwise happen, I think we'll be into, very interesting times moving ahead. I think the fourth thing which happened is that politically right now, I think Sabah, they're trying to figure out who is going to hit the state. And for that, there was a lot of talks and a lot of speculation that, you know, some parties are not working with each other, and some said that they are not sure who to hit the particular state. And from over here, we can already see political uncertainties. On top of that, as we know, last week there was news that a relatively senior political member had, I guess, a lot of MPs supporting him, and there is political uncertainties. So over here, a lot of them is relatively not the best news in the world, and we will see the market react accordingly. As last week we saw, when the political member said that he had a lot of support, what happened was there was a major sell down. So right now we can see that everything is at the cusp of something bigger to happen moving forward. It could be an explosion of new COVID cases. As we can see, Malaysia right now, the COVID numbers are creeping up bit by bit. It's not looking the best. And on top of that, the banks have already told the government to stop the populist moratorium policies which they have. The banks right now are asking the government to be, I guess, more corporate friendly. And if that were to happen, I would suspect that some people would declare, I guess, bankruptcy, or some companies may also, once they have to start paying back, I guess, their financing costs and whatnot, it could be very interesting times ahead. Okay. So right now, as I mentioned to you, all of this news, it looks relatively uncertain. And I think if you were to look at all my other episodes, I've already said, stay away from the market for the time being. It's going to be bumpy. Today, however, I'm going to tell you something else. Today, if you have heed my advice and if you had listened to my advice, you would maybe have stayed at the sidelines. And should you have stayed in the sidelines, pretty soon, when all of these uncertainties and all of this news were to come into the market and be disseminated, when all these uncertainties were to come, I suspect that it will spook the market a little bit more. And guys, I think the next coming months will be a great time to get stocks at a really good discount. If you stayed at the sidelines, you would have enough ammunition to start attacking the market. And that is my view right now. Look at attacking the market and look at buying stocks right now. Okay. Know that, however, if you were to time certain purchases right now, there's going to be some news which came with negative news which is coming out, and as we can see right now, it's just a small little forward indicators which may show worse indicators in the future. But what I want to say over here is, when we were to invest in the market, don't buy lump sum. Break your investment portions into maybe 5 or 10 tranches. Okay. So what I mean by tranches is, you basically, if you have 100%, if you were to break up into 10 tranches, each time you go in the market, put in 10%, 10%, 10%, 10%, 10%. And one of the reasons why I'm saying that we should invest in smaller tranches is that I cannot time news, I cannot time the bottoming out of the market, but it looks like more negative news is going to come out before the market turns. And I want us to start catching the market as it goes down, 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 down. And that's where we can get the super duper discounts. And that's where you can get stocks which will give you high dividend yields. Right now, I'm looking at certain stocks, really quality stocks, giving almost 9% dividend yields. 9%. And these are blue chip stocks. I think this is a really exciting time right now. I was studying certain things. I was studying certain counters, and boy, oh boy, there's a lot of really great opportunities out there. But know that we are in this environment where there's going to be a lot of uncertainty, and there's going to be a lot of volatility. And by knowing this, and by entering with that information and with the faith that tomorrow will bring us better days ahead, or maybe next year or the year after, there's going to be sunshine. That's where we buy at the very bottom, or as the market is bottoming out, and we will sell as the market rebounds, maybe 2 or 3 years. Know that one of the reasons why I really said break it down into smaller portions of investments is that we cannot time all the bad news, but I know that there's a lot of uncertainty and a lot of news which is going to come out. The political risk, and also the pandemic, the cases which is going to come out. Know that when all of this were to come out, it will spook the market, and what's going to happen is there's going to be a sell down, and that's where we will continue buying stocks which are good quality at big discounts. Okay, so yeah, I think within the next 2, 3, or 4 months, it's going to be a really good time to get blue chip stocks which gives dividends about 9%. In fact, if you can see that I think I already talked about how I am a big proponent for ASB, and I have quite a fair bit in ASB. Having said that, however, ASB has been giving about below 8%. So I'm actually looking towards switching towards blue chips, which give about 9% dividend yields. The reason being, if the stock price does not recover for the blue chips, at least I get my 9% in my pocket for the next 1 or 2 years. And as the stock markets were to recover, I can sell that for maybe 20, 30, or 40%. So that is my strategy moving forward. Moving forward, we're gonna just discuss about stocks. Okay, so what stocks should one invest in? So this is my strategy, and I'm going to share it with you guys. Chances are it's going to be it's not going to be the most popular, but this is my strategy. Number one, look for stocks which have a strong balance sheet, meaning to say they have a strong cash reserve that can help them weather this particular storm for the next 1 or 2 years. That's the first attribute. The second attribute I want to look at is companies which give dividends. I don't want to hold, look, let's be very honest. I don't want to hold a company, which does not give me any dividends, and holding and looking at the stock price just kind of drop. No, what I want to do is, if I hold a company which gives good dividends, should the stock price keep on dropping, that's where I can buy the stock for a cheaper price and the dividend yields would increase. Okay, so what dividend yields is basically the dividend amount divided by the dollar amount. So as the stock price were to go down, the dividend yields were to increase. So as shareholders, if you buy a particular stock at a bigger discount, you will get better dividend yields, or you get better returns. So should stocks drop in value in the coming months ahead, should you buy these stocks at a bigger discount, you will get better dividend yields moving forth. The third thing which I'm going to say is buy companies which are blue chip, strong, good earning flows, visible earning flows. Look at companies which everyone consume their products very prominently. We don't have to buy the best technology. We don't have to buy the best, the newest trend out there. I'm talking about blue chip companies which are oversold. And I saw a couple of, and if you guys have been in the market and if you guys have been listening to the internet chatter, I'm sure you guys would have an idea of what blue chip companies are at big discounts. Honestly, I've done a bit of research, and boy, it's a very good time for someone to actually enter the market. Okay, and that's one of the reasons why then that's one of the reasons why we cannot time the downward, or we cannot buy the stocks at the lowest point. No way, no one can time the market. But having said that, that's one of the reasons why I already said, break your investment pot, or break your investment bullets, right? If you have 100%, if you want to break it up into 5 increments, right? So that's 20% of your total investment. Buy sparingly. So every time when there's bad news which happens, we will be happy. Why? We are buying dividend paying stocks. And if the stock price were to drop, that's where we can get better dividend yields, and we will get better discounts for the stocks which pays us a constant cash flow. Okay, yeah, so that's my 2 cents, and I would like to thank the only viewer on this channel today. I made a promise to myself and every one of my subscribers out there to give you guys the best information. I think one of the reasons why, and I just want to reiterate, one of the reasons why I created this channel is that I've seen many of my relatives, growing up in rural Malaysia, I've seen fortunes just come and go. But a lot of my relatives, they weren't very financially savvy, and at the age that they should retire, it really broke my heart to see some of my aunties and my uncles ask money from, I guess, the younger nephews and nieces. So that's one of the reasons why I'm having this particular channel. And right now, with I guess the markets get dropping, there are a lot of discounts. Okay, so I hope you guys have, I guess, a great week ahead. I'm going to continue coming out with more content, and I'd like to thank you, fellow watcher, for being on this particular, I guess, episode. And I'd like to thank future people watching this particular episode. Should you find this particular episode useful, please give us some thumbs up. I want this information to be spread to as many people as possible. That way we can all survive and also thrive, and also be much more, we'll be much more ahead post this pandemic. I know there's a lot of fear right now. I know this. I can see pawn shops, where people sell their family jewels and whatnot, given by their mom and their grandma and whatnot. And it really breaks my heart. I wish I can share financial knowledge to almost everyone. And that's one of the reasons why I'm giving free advice on YouTube, based on my decades of working in the industry, about 15 years. So guys, I love to thank you guys so very much for sticking on this particular episode. If you like this episode, please give me some thumbs up, and I'll see you guys. Take care, guys.